Yeah, so here we are. As the title of the video says, this is about hesitation, something we don't talk about. Hell, it's the only reason I haven't even made this video until now. Constantly telling yourself you're gonna do something, but something keeps holding you back, and at the end of it, you end up feeling like shit because, well, either you're afraid or you just don't have the motivation. Now, one of the things we don't talk about a lot in any form of media, even in other YouTube videos, is just how dangerous hesitation is. And I guess it would align generally with the sin of sloth. You know, you're not doing anything, you're wasting yourself, wasting the gift of the body you have. And this isn't a biblical video or anything like that, but just a comparison, a small one right there. Like literally for the past maybe over a year, I've been telling myself, hey, you should actually start doing YouTube videos. Find a crowd that could be relatable to you. And more importantly, just speak your truth and put out stuff that's relatable to people. One thing that I definitely enjoyed doing was watching YouTube videos of other people who would speak about their lives and honestly had relatable content, something for everybody to actually feel like a community. And community is another video that I want to do, but we're going to talk about that for another time. But a lot of what I want to do with this channel is just generally address, things going on in our world today and also how I perceive things. Whether people agree or not, and this goes for everybody, you should always stand by what you say and what you do. Because at the end of the day, trying to change yourself for others, trying to change the message of how you feel about certain things is more damaging to you than anything else. And you really don't gain anything from it at the end of the day, or at least not enough to actually change, your life and make it a much more better place. But yeah, this video is pretty much about hesitation, man. We can go real long with this one. I've hesitated on many things myself, making this video, for example. So this is me just finally getting it out there like, hey, I want to do a YouTube channel. And why do I want to do a YouTube channel? I said to myself, it'd be cool to honestly just find relatable people that actually, can understand or debate certain things that I might bring up. But also at the same time, it's just something that I think I enjoy doing in a therapeutic sense, which is just getting out with how you feel about certain things, how you feel about the world and the events going on. Let's be real, 2020 hasn't been the best of the best of decades. This decade has been crazy. But, seeing how everything has been changing around, I thought it'd be good for me to finally just get up here and just do what I set out to do. And now here I am. So most of all, I want this video to also just be inspiration. That thing you're thinking about doing, so long as it doesn't put you in the grave or gets you arrested or something. I don't want to encourage none of that. But so long as it's something that's, you come out the other side and you come out a better man and you come out prouder or happier about it, that's what's most important. So, yeah, here we are. Hesitation, man. It is definitely a low-key monster. That is the best way I could describe it. It is a low-key monster because it doesn't quite show itself like other problems. It hides in the back and it whispers in your head and it tells you, no, don't do this, or you shouldn't do this yet. And a lot of the things that it tugs on is gonna be how people perceive you. People that are afraid of standing out, that are afraid of saying what they want to say and not facing the consequences. And it also comes in the form of just killing motivation. Yeah, I would want to do something about this, but it's just so much work. And honestly, man, it definitely gets you. And I know all of my bros that go to the gym, all my people that go to the gym, it hits you. There's days where it's like you set up today to go to the gym. I just came back from it this morning, and honestly, it was kind of hitting me like, yeah, let's take another hour, you know. Let's if it rains, let's not go at all. And it surely enough did rain for a bit today, but it was just a little bit of drizzle. But the whole point is like you're trying to find every reason to not do what you need to get done, to not do what'll push you further. And it honestly just sucks because once you listen to that voice and it finally takes absolute control, at the end of the day, you end up feeling terrible. Like you didn't accomplish anything and you have nobody else but yourself to blame. And in all honesty, that is the truth. And we could also like go into the fact that there's also some mental factors that'll play a part, like whether you have like, depression or stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it is only on you. So it just really sucks when you don't get anything done. And even with some of my friends, there's a lot of like hesitation on stuff. One of my friends still needs to move out of his parents' spot. And before I go any further with, that conversation, my friend, he does a good job. He makes good money. He's got a girlfriend and all that. The only thing is he's living with his girlfriend in his mom's spot, and he's been telling himself that he's gonna, finally move out. But the thing is, like throughout the past 5+ years that he's been saying that, he's only been saying that when he had a girl living with him and his mother. He never actually decided to push for this after like being single again and breaking up. So I can sense that hesitation from him from a mile away. And he's a good guy. Usually he's actually kind of cocky sometimes. Not in the worst way at all, but usually he's pretty confident. But when there is something he's not confident or doesn't know about, you know, he's kind of, not even kind of, he's way more hesitant than he would typically be in any other case. But had he actually put the work in to move out of his mom's space, whether he was with a girl or not with a girl, and I think a lot of it is just coming down to the fear of loneliness and being by yourself. He's never actually lived by himself. And as somebody that has done that since, a little after high school, I can confirm it does have its challenges, especially when, there's no one to talk to, especially during those first few years. And you were so used to stuff like that back in the day, as a kid, just having your mom and your father around. Maybe you have a brother or sister or a couple, but when you're by yourself, I could tell that it's definitely way different of an experience for people that haven't actually lived alone or ever. And so I could see that he has a hesitation about that, even though he wants to move out, be his own man, do his own thing. And I don't blame him for it, honestly. One thing I definitely have learned growing up is not to shame people for the stuff that might be a flaw about themselves or might be something that they're doing wrong. Everybody has their issues and problems. And at the end of the day, when it comes to your friends, and especially when it comes to your friends and they make mistakes, you just kind of let them know you're there. You don't have to baby them or whatever. But you give your opinion, especially if they ask for it, and say, hey, if you need me for this, I'm right here, man. So it's just another example about how hesitation can hold you back. And, he makes good money. So by now, he could have got himself a 1-bedroom with his girlfriend, I'd imagine. But I'm hoping that changes. Anyways, there's been a lot of hesitation that's been going on with me, especially since making this video finally. I'm really challenging that hesitation now. But it gets to all of us, and I think it's one of the greatest, monsters in the human psyche, I guess you could say, that truly just shows up and decides, I'm about to ruin this man's whole career. But ruin your whole career doesn't mean I'm going to destroy everything you have. Sometimes it means I'm going to make sure you stay where you are. And stagnation it's definitely one of the worst experiences you could have. Like a lot of people, including myself to even a good degree, are going through that. We finish college and it's like, man, we got this bachelor's degree, master's degree. We can't even find a job and we're still working, you know, at retail or we're doing security or something. And to anybody working those jobs, definitely no disrespect. If you're a person out there working at the end of the day, you deserve respect. And it doesn't matter what that job is, so long as it's not harming you or harming others in any way. And it's an honest, buck at the end of the day. It's what's most important. A lot of the days, a lot of the time we put a lot of a person's worth based off of what their job is. And honestly, it's not a good thing. I met a lot of good people that work at jobs that aren't even like, you know, extremely upper class or something. Typically like retail and stuff like that. But, you know, stagnation is definitely a monster that can come in, with hesitation. Hesitation is the first monster. Stagnation, that's the second one that's definitely going to catch you slipping right afterwards. And it'll be a while before you notice, but you'll start feeling like everything around you is gray simply because nothing has actually moved forward since then. And as a child, things have always been fresh and new. And, there's always been this feeling of progression and change. But when you hit adulthood, especially your lower to mid 20s, you're gonna see it, and you're definitely gonna feel it. It's gonna pull up on you, man, and it's just gonna be like, you'll feel like the stuff you've worked for, that you've put a lot of effort in, or maybe you haven't put a lot of effort in either, which is more so related to this video. Nothing's paying off, and you're stuck where you are. Now, don't give up hope because giving up hope doesn't change the fact that you're not where you are right now. But at the end of the day, as I say many times, it's really up to you. It's really up to you to put yourself out there. You know, that includes with people as well. And putting yourself out there is another part of dealing with hesitation. It's not about, playing it safe. It's not about putting out risk, but it's about saying, hey, if I want something, I will simply go and get it. If I want to do something, I'll simply go out there and try. And this is something everybody's got to figure out at some point. I'm just learning even more now to kind of like reconnect with people or connect with new people since high school. I'm pretty much more introvert and I like to keep to myself, but I'm aware that that doesn't mean I want to be alone forever. Like, you have people that'll brag about being introverts and be like, yeah, they want to be alone. They don't want to bother with people and stuff like that. Personally, I think that just means they're dealing with more deeper psychological issues. Cause you can be introvert, but you still want a crowd, not a big crowd particularly to say, but you want the right people around you. And that is definitely something I want. I want the right people around me. Find the people that make you feel not just at home, but like, hey, they understand you. They understand your experiences. They get where you're coming from. These days, people don't socialize like that anymore. And that's another thing that, a lot of people face hesitation on, whether it be trust issues or whether it's just because, the social norms of today is just don't interact with people in any place, whether it's school, especially whether it's work. You're told not to interact with people on a friendly level at work. And to a degree, they're kind of right. You don't want to get too friendly with your coworkers, especially if they're the gossipy type. But at some point, you do need to socialize. And at some point, it does physically and mentally affect you. Anyways, that's all I got for today. So be good out there and stay blessed. Later.